Good evening, and welcome to the Mid-Manhattan Branch Library. Please give a very warm welcome to Dr. Maud Heyman Herman.
So I've been in practice for 30 plus years, and you get to be a certain age. I'm in my 60s, and I want to leave something behind. I've treated about 5,000 patients and been very helpful to most of them. But I want to pass on what I've learned in my 30 years of practice. And one of the main things I want to pass on is that there's a lot you can do for yourself. There's a lot of needless suffering, which really breaks my heart. And over my many years, I've started to develop a framework for healing, for how people can heal themselves. And we're going to go through some of that. And I'm going to talk a little too about how I was very sick as a child, which once I became healthy, then what I really wanted to do was help other people who have been suffering. So I come from a tradition, a medical tradition, which is uniquely American in the sense that it was a Civil War physician, Andrew Taylor Still, who was the founder of osteopathic medicine. He was an MD, and he felt that a lot of medicine was looking in slightly the wrong direction. And he said, to find health should be the aim of any doctor. Anyone can find disease. I have here a picture. My mother was a really wonderful painter, Joanne Hameson. This is my mother. This is me. I was probably about 5, the ill effects of many years of asthma. So I was quite ill. Luckily, my mother had grown up taking care of dogs. When they were quite ill, she would sometimes sleep under the house, because they had a house in the summer, with the dogs, because the dogs weren't allowed in the house. And when they were sick, she learned a lot about patience, she learned a lot about endurance, she learned about keeping company with the ill, and she was very good with me when I had asthma. So was my stepfather, Leopold, who used to cart me up and down the halls all through the night so I could breathe. I was lucky. I became well. And in my late teens, coming to California, where we had better air than Chicago, which is better now than it was then, I became healthy, and I wanted to help other people. Also worked to some extent in various civil rights movements. I worked to help get freedom for various groups, and so I wanted to feel like I could help other people who were suffering from physical ailments. I looked at a number of different fields, and I felt that osteopathic medicine was one of the most complete and developed, and became an osteopathic physician. It's very similar to MD medicine. We go to have the similar courses, we do pharmacology, surgery. It's a 4-year program, then we go on to internship and/or residency. But we all learn a little bit about manual medicine, how the body works together as a unit. That's one of the things here, that what happens in one part of the body can have profound effects on other parts of the body. It was founded by this amazing man, Andrew Taylor Still. I love this picture of him. It shows, he was, as I said, a Civil War physician. He was a physician for the North, but he had been a Southern abolitionist. He grew up in Missouri and in the South. And in his youth, he spent a certain amount of time with the Native Americans. His father was a preacher. And a lot of the horseback preachers were the doctors of the time. They brought health care to various communities, and he spent quite a few years with the Native Americans. And they had a long tradition of manual medicine, hands-on healing. It is speculated that he learned some of the techniques he then developed further into osteopathic medicine from them. What's also remarkable about him was when he decided to start his own medical school based on these principles, he had the radical idea that women were just as capable as men. So a quarter of the class were female. He also welcomed African Americans, all the races. Unfortunately, the introductory class did not include them, but over time they did. And it took the regular medical profession until about 1970 to have a quarter of their class be female.